Finally found the instruction manual, but it's not in English. Recoge las piedras del infinito para besar en los labios a la madre de tu amigo. That doesn't sound right. That can't be right. That cannot be right. Oh, the video started. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen if I put all the Infinity Stones together, but I can't. I don't know. I lost the English version of the instructions, so I'll set the last stone there. So thanks for joining me. I am Jerrel. Today we will be taking a look at the top 5 best and worst character designs in the MCU. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I really enjoy watching the Marvel stuff. So today I want to take a look at these designs from an educational and informative standpoint, and I want to be neutral about these things. I'm not here to criticize or disparage the work that has gone into these designs. I would like to take a close look from a character design standpoint, and I would like to point out the elements that do work and don't work for these characters. And if you out there are interested in your own character design, in art, or you just enjoy looking at this stuff and hearing about the MCU, then this is the video for you. Thanks very much for stopping by. I just need to be careful I keep the stones separated on this guy because I don't understand Spanish and that's the only instruction manual I have. We will start off with the worst 5, and then we will end the video with the best 5, as it would be really sad if the video ended on a low note. More and more people have been asking me about the games that I have worked on and that I've published. I am a solo developer and I create my own IP. You can see up on the screen here, most of my games have been on the 3DS and Wii U, and I'm working on more titles coming to the Switch and PC as well. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on our top 5 worst and best Marvel MCU character designs. The Jeremy Renner portrayed character of Clint. This design is his final design in the Hawkeye show. I actually really enjoyed the Hawkeye show. This design is such a huge disappointment because we've already had such great designs from him. So this is a bizarre step backwards for his character visuals. In the context of the story, the outfit was designed by, I suppose, LARPers, which makes sense because they have less access to the materials and the resources that, say, for example, Tony Stark has in order to create little outfits for his friends. So in the context of the story, it makes sense, but this is an absolute disaster because I think he's just wearing black denim for starters. So purple is supposed to be this character's identifying color. We've seen purple and black as his identifying colors. So it is nice that there's this sort of detail here. It's very boring, and there's very little visual cohesion throughout his character. Say, for example, you have this strong purple color here, and you have purple here, which is a different material altogether. This is sort of a pleather, and then this is a cloth. And then nowhere else is that present anywhere else on his character. You have a little bit here, and that's it. Ideally, you would have some purple here, or as has been in the past in the MCU, maybe some representation of that color here, some color expression, maybe some boots, and then color representative here. But we don't get any of that, so what we get is just a very, very dull use of those colors there. So it's mostly black, and even this area here, it's a slightly different material, but it doesn't do much to help catch the light in a way that offers anything of visual interest. So there's a complete and utter lack of visual interest. You can see the belt is very plain. You have his archer's glove here, which is just black, and unfortunately it blends in with his pants, it blends in with the shirt. This is, unfortunately, it's so plain. That's the problem with it. It is very plain. On the other hand, I think this design is much better. It's more interesting because there is a stronger use. There's the color purple is more present, and there is more textural variety when it comes to the character, because you have this sort of, whatever these lines are, it catches the light in a different way. It's a different expression of material. You have these sort of V shapes here. You have that. So there's asymmetry on this character to make her look really cool. You have great asymmetry here. this is a visual shortcut for character design work, is asymmetry makes characters look interesting. There isn't any use of that. We have this, which probably goes to his quiver, but it's so dull. So I would say that this outfit is pretty great. I would really prefer if there were some purple here, like if at least that was strong purple, or there were some trim on the boots that were the same color as this. Okay, and I just want to quickly look at what design does work. This is Hawkeye from Civil War. And you can see that this is the black area of his suit, but you also have interesting shapes. You have purple represented here. You have purple on the boots, purple here in the midsection, purple here. This is a great design. This is really fantastic. I've never really taken a close look at this, but and you have a look at the asymmetry here. Is you have this sleeve, you have an exposed arm, and then you have one with a sleeve. Now for archers, this makes sense metaphorically because generally archers will wear an arm guard to protect their arm from the string hitting. In this situation, it doesn't really make sense, but it is the design philosophy and taking that idea and moving it and using it further to sort of exaggerate that idea. This is so cool. I actually really like this. Okay, number 2 on our list for the worst designs, the worst character designs in the MCU is She-Hulk, and I don't want to linger on too long on this one. I enjoyed watching the She-Hulk show just for fun. You know, it's low investment. I really liked the character until the actress sort of went on a tirade online and sort of ruined the show for me. So I don't really like the show anymore. So what I do like, let's just go ahead and just do this really quick. Let's just go ahead and blur this. So if we just blur this, right, it's pretty decent because we have dynamic in tonal range here. We have lights, we have our medium area and our dark area, and then our skin color is somewhere between the medium and the highlights here. So that's decent use of dynamic, and then the hair sort of blends in with the dark area. So overall, the composition is decent, right? But it's the core design that really lets it down here. I like that they've used purple as the trim here, and then it carries up into this. But what really lets this down is this midsection here, which is very plain, and this area here are the key weaknesses. What is going on with this? What is that? Because it looks like this is a Space Invader, and it's got little hands. Look, it looks like it's got little hands pointing up. Little hand with a finger going like that. What is it pointing to? Her kidneys, I believe. So you have to be very careful with your designs. If you have anything that looks like it is pointing, because our eyes will be drawn to that. The shape doesn't say anything. It doesn't mean anything. It is a very odd shape. This is an arbitrarily odd shape here. So the use of white in this area is baffling and distracting. These little alien fingers, the Space Invader hands, are pointing up to this seam here, which is very odd. And there's nothing here. There could have been, you know, a bit more detail, like if they had used more of the white here. Honestly, I'm just gonna scribble on this. Looking at this is very frustrating for me. I'm just gonna scribble on this, you know, and I'm not saying that I would do a better job than these people. I'm just breaking this down, you know, from, you know, character design perspective. And if we could just like, can we just like, I don't know, anything, but then that creates an issue here. That creates a problem because now we have this sort of arrow shape. It's very plain. You know, this whole design is rough. This is a rough design. Actually, you know what may have worked here? Something like this may have worked. Something like this is so rough. This is tough here. And I'll explain the second issue here is that this character, this suit, I understand the technical challenge they're facing here because they want this suit to fit both She-Hulk and Jen. The problem is this does not even look anywhere close to the same suit. The purples are quite pronounced, and I've watched the show, so I'm not just nitpicking between these screenshots here, because even in different lighting, you can't tell what purple is on this suit, it looks like a totally different material. And you could say, oh, it's meant to shrink and grow as she's in Jen or she's in She-Hulk form. But the proportions don't even line up because of where the sleeves are here. And then the sleeves are, they should be smaller. They should be actually up here. So what they should have done was made the sleeves longer for Jen so that it makes sense when it is the proportions for She-Hulk. So it already doesn't make sense. So from a nitpicking standpoint, it doesn't work. This white band here you can see is quite thin and long, and you can see it's short and chunky here. So they don't even line up. The physical clothes that the actor wears does not line up with the CGI outfit. So it's frustrating because I like the She-Hulk character, and this outfit was so dull for me, unfortunately. I would have liked to see boots, wristbands or gloves, to help tie it all together. So it's very plain, and it just looks like she's going to the gym. Next on the list, we have Eternals. This is so sad. These outfits don't say anything about the character. And the problem is they had too many characters. And instead of focusing on just a couple of characters and then creating outfits that have identifying traits, they created what is essentially a team uniform with color alts. Because I can't tell you anything about these people. Nothing about this says that the character is fast. Nothing about this character says that he has finger guns. I can't tell you what Budget Wong is all about. I cannot tell you what his powers are. I cannot tell you what Jolie's powers are. I can't tell you what this guy does. I can't tell who's the strong one, who's the smart one, who's the fast one. And this is so important when you have an ensemble cast, especially in this medium and this genre, is your outfits and uniforms really need to set each character apart, and they need to remind the audience this is what this character is about, this is what this character does, this is their strengths. These are their strengths. I would say the absolute worst one is this Amish guy. There's no use of trim. There's absolutely no dynamic range. The material I see two materials here, and they're both extremely similar. And so he's just wearing a plain black outfit, basically, with very little expression of color. So I would say this is the absolute worst in the lot. I'm going to try and rank these very quickly here. Okay, number one, this is the worst one. I'm just scanning my eyeballs here, and I'm just going to do this very quickly. Number two, I'm actually going to say this guy. You've got a little bit of these gold circles here, and then you have whatever this shape is. A potion with wings, I think is what that is. And then there's no use of gold anywhere else. Ideally, this should have been gold. There should have been greater use of gold trim here, and there should be gold on his boots, which I don't see. So that's number two. Number three is a similar problem, is that it's all just one flat tonal value. There is the use of this sort of shiny metal here, which is quite nice, but it just needed a little bit more tonal dynamic to it. I understand the character's meant to be light or whatever, but it's like this, it's just so bland looking at that. Number four is Budget Wong. What is going on here? This is so plain. At least this character has interesting dynamic. Here's what I mean by plain, is that this is all just, what is that? This has this going on here. That's interesting. That's probably going to be the best one. Okay, number four. Number five, I'm searching out number five here. Hold on. Okay, number five spot's going to be tough. I'm going to say number five, because this area here has no tonal dynamic. This has no tonal dynamic. You do have some here, here, and here, which is nice, but it's just not great. Number six is going to be this guy. I like the asymmetry here. This is pretty good. I do like the asymmetry. This flows. Okay, and then there's slits in the tunic, or the whatever you want to call this. You have some use of metal here, which is silver. You have some gold here. This one's pretty good. Hold on, I'm swapping spots. This is going to be number six, because it's quite plain, but it's certainly better than that. It has some tonal dynamic here. That's going to be number 7. This one's going to be number 8, and I'm not sure if it's because I like Kumail Nanjiani. I think there's going to be a little bias. I'm going to apologize for a little bit of bias. I like the actor. No. In all honesty, look, you have gold trim here. You have gold trim here. You have the silver trim. You have this expression of gold here. You have the gold lines. Good use of trim. You have the tunic. You have the cuts in the tunic. I can see some use of gold here. So there is good visual cohesion here. This is a good design, and I'm going to comfortably give the number 9 spot to, I forgot the character's name, but this is by far the best character. You have strong use of colors that work well with the character's skin tone. You have asymmetry, which again, it's a shortcut, but it works, and that's something important to keep in mind. You have this use, the cuts of the, I'm going to call it, gray's boring, I'm going to call it silver because it's cooler. So you have silver and red, you have the use of the silver in there, you have the shoulder pads, and then you have the silver leading up to the collar. They're excellent. This is actually a great one. I will say, look, that one is great. I'm going to say 8, 9, and 7 are actually pretty good, even though they don't really do a job of saying which characters do which. Oh no, I didn't rate this character. Hold on. She's going to have the number 10 spot. She has a crown, which is already cheating because no one else... Oh, no. Angelina has a headpiece. She has a tiara, as it were. But this sort of helmet, that's cheating because you get more ammunition to work with in terms of your visual design. I like the blue. Obviously, this goes without saying. This is very obvious that you have the visual cohesion. You have the blue of the helmet. It goes with the blue of that. You have gold. Blue and gold... Let me tell you this. This is cheating. This is a shortcut. If you use blue and gold, your character is going to look good. I'll just say that. You have a difference in shapes, right? You have these circles here. This is a cool shape, but then you also have a circle here. Not an obvious circle. Just circles here. There is a circle there, but then you have angles to offset that. You have an angle here. This is pointing down to her face, which is good. It draws visual focus. Then you have this gorgeous, look at this flow here. So this catches your attention, right? I'll draw out the flow of focus here. It brings you down here, and then it flows down like that. 10, easy. This one's an easy 10. So there's a couple here that are, I would say this is good, pretty good. I'm kind of feeling maybe I should swap spots with 7 and 8, but that's fine. And then everything else is quite awful here. So here we go. We are moving on to Ironheart as our next on the list of worst character designs in the MCU. What really bothers me is this bicycle helmet here. This is rough. There's so much use of black that black is a palette cleanser when it comes to character design. If you're picking your colors, black is really it's a neutral color that allows other colors to stand out. It allows other colors to blend well with other colors, and it works extremely well for the Black Panther character because of the use of texture. Whoever designed the Black Panther suits really understands texture because they use designs, they use patterns, different materials, so that the black isn't just this palette cleanser, it is a canvas on which they can express very interesting textures and visual ideas. Black Panther suit is excellent. So I'm not saying that, just because the suit is black, it's not good. The eye shape is really weird. You have this, again, that leads to the sort of bicycle helmet look. If you were to go like this, look at this. What is that? Is that not a bicycle helmet? Unfortunately, because there's nothing in this area here like that, this ends up looking like a chin strap, which again leads into the bicycle. Look at this. Now, I understand the visual motif they're going here. They're going, oh, look, it's a heart. It's Ironheart. This is what happens when a creative team, especially the artists, get stuck in their own heads. And they're thinking too much about the things that they know without stopping to consider what the audience knows and what the audience does not know. We do not know, as a general audience, we do not know that this character's name is Ironheart. We do not understand why this character would be named Ironheart.
And so the idea of a heart makes no sense to the audience. So this is one where they leaned too hard in. The designers were stuck in their own heads because they know, oh, Ironheart, it's a heart. It doesn't make sense to the audience. So this ends up looking unnecessarily bulky. The use of color, unfortunately, it's not enough. I personally, maybe I would have made more use of trim here. We have red as the mid-tone. You have black as your darker color, but there isn't enough of a highlight color. You need a mid-tone, a light, and a dark, and there isn't enough of the light color, and I would have used this trim more prominently. Let's go ahead and have a look at this toy design. It's very difficult finding stills from the movies that have the whole character here. Okay, here's the thing. I enjoy 60s and 70s fashion, so I may be a little bit biased here, but if you sort of have a look at the shape of this here, this is the cut of 60s, late 60s, early 70s suit pants. I actually really enjoy that look, but in the suit, it doesn't make sense and it looks clunky. Everything we know about this character says that she's not interested in the past, so she wouldn't have any interest in 60s or 70s fashion. Everything we know about her is quite modern. This would make sense if, say, for example, she had maybe a story element where she was kind of, maybe her parents died and she was obsessing over photos of her mom, like, oh, I never had a relationship with my mom or something, and she looks at old photos, it's like, oh, my mom, maybe she was so cool, we don't know anything about her relationship with her parents, and maybe she was looking at pictures of her mom wearing these dress pants, and maybe that's why she designed the suit, but we don't see that, we don't understand that. These are the kind of elements that you can consider when you are creating character designs. So this is arbitrary. Everything we understand about this suit was created arbitrary because we don't know enough about the character. There hasn't been enough that has been told to us about the character. The use of gold here, I see, it didn't seem to come across in the film. That's silver, right? So this is already quite different. I think the suit, this looks better because it has the gold than what we see in the suit here. You see, this is thicker here, this tiara, and this actually looks way better than what this is, this thin silver strip there. This is sad because this is a way better design than this. There's an imbalance of visual mass here, and I want to explain this to you. Is look at the clearest word I can use is chunky. Look at the mass of the character here. We have all of this mass, and then we have these really, really tiny toothpick arms. I believe they would have chosen this. They would have made this design decision in order to make the character appear more effeminate. But in this case, it's an imbalance of mass on the character, and it looks so weird. And it's not helped by the fact that they flare the suit out at the bottom of his pants. So this is tragic, but it is not the worst. We're going to reach number 1 on the list here. This is the absolute worst character design in the MCU. And this is Darbeen from the Marvels. I'm not here to say anything negative about the films. I know that people really like hating on the Marvels, but I had fun with the movie. I enjoyed watching it. I go to these to enjoy them. I don't go to just criticize them and say, oh, it's this and that. I just want to have fun, man. I just want to have fun. I had fun watching this movie, but one thing that stuck out to me as a major weak point of the movie was this character's design. Is look at the shape. There's something super important that you need to consider when you are creating a character design for females. Look, this is just how it is. With males, it's a free-for-all. You can literally do anything with male characters, right? With female characters, it's different. You need to be extremely careful with expressing the form of that character's body. And this outfit made this character look like a brick. This is a brick. I felt like I was looking at a power adapter for the Sega Genesis or something. Sorry. I just made that. It's the first thing that came to my mind. This looks like a power adapter for the Sega Genesis. And there isn't enough differentiation. Again, if they made this material a little bit lighter, it would have been more interesting. I like the layering of what is probably some kind of cloth over the leather, or it's probably pleather, really. I like the use of the metal trim that goes through there. The problem is that the lines that it draws here, I want to take a look at the shape here. Is we have this sort of, and then we have that, and then you have this, and it's sort of like, it creates an arrow that points down away from the character in a kind of confusing way. And then you have these lines here. There are too many lines pulling your focus away. So there's no visual flow to this character, unlike, for example, the Eternals character that did have flow. This does not have the visual flow. There's this, in my analyses of characters, I often point out, oh, they need more trim, more trim. This is a situation where there's too much trim. They've put too much sauce on this. So it's messy, it's sloppy. There's not enough tonal dynamic to this. I do like the use of different materials, but Lord help me if this character does not look like a power brick from a console from the 90s. Here's another look from this, and it just makes the character weird to look at. Every time I saw this character on screen, I felt so weird because I didn't know what they wanted me to pay attention to. Every time I try to look at her face, I get pulled out to these here. What's going on, man? What's happening? Okay, and that is Darbeen. This is number one. This is the absolute worst character design in the MCU. Let's go ahead and take a look at our positive ones now. Let's start our section for the number one best character designs in the MCU. Number one on the... This isn't really ordered, right? We're just kind of going through them. Number one on the list is Deadpool. I'm going to look at his latest iteration. This is what we see in Deadpool and Wolverine. His suits don't change that much throughout the movies. In the past, you have had ones where this area here was leather and it added more dynamic. I do like that look, but there's nothing wrong with what this is here. It's more subdued. So what we have here, this is brilliant. It's a brilliant use of materials. They know where to put the seam lines. They know how to make the actors look good, and they know how to make action look good. These characters are constantly in movement. They have to be clear. They have to be expressive. This is the opposite of the Darbeen suit from the Marvels, which we were just looking at, that is concealing the character's form. You cannot tell what's going on with the character's body. This is a situation where you always have a good understanding of what's going on. The reason why that works so well is this area here. This is like the secret MVP, is this black area. Not only does it look cool, it looks like armor. It adds variety to the materials that are being used on the character. It catches light differently. But when we view this character from different angles, you see how his sleeves are red. If they pass over this black area lets us understand where his arms are and what they're doing. I feel like maybe if we wanted to pay homage to Rob Liefeld, maybe we need more pouches. I feel like maybe this is a goodly sum of pouches, but not nearly enough to pay homage to the old comics. Maybe we could have used more pouches, I'm just kidding about the pouches, guys. I went through a stage myself as I was growing up and I was developing my art and I was drawing. I went wild on the pouches. I put pouches on everything. If there was a blank spot on my characters, I just felt like, man, I got to have more pouches. I love the asymmetry here. Again, great use of asymmetry. We have one belt high up, two here, and then one. Excellent use of asymmetry. It's not over the top. This is quite subdued, but it does its job perfectly. And look, you have this sort of nylon material, and you have a sort of plastic that sits over the boots like armor. Excellent. Oh, man. Looking at this is just fantastic. Then you have this, which probably like, you know, a form of ballistic plastic for the knee pad. And the black trim is an excellent touch. Fantastic. Oh, man. This is a great design. This really rock on. I want to watch this movie again. Next, we'll have a look at Wolverine, who is next on the list. This design, oh, man. This is a great design. I just want to point out the balance and the visual cohesion here. You have the use of the yellows here, but it's broken up in interesting ways. It's broken up with a dark it's like a dark navy blue. They didn't go over the top. They understand the visual medium. They understand that if they went with a bright blue, and I'm sure they've done dozens upon dozens of tests, a brighter blue would have looked tacky. It's so easy for a design like this to go wrong. What's so great about these designs, they both have, both of these designs were created to look good next to each other, but also have visual cohesion. You have this cutout area here, right? This sort of side paneling. And you'll see that Deadpool also has this side paneling. But you'll notice that Deadpool's is slimming. It makes him look like a smaller, faster, more streamlined character, and Wolverine's makes him look bulkier and stronger. This is the kind of cohesion between an ensemble that the Eternals completely lacks. This lets us know more about the characters here, especially this. These add chaotic energy to the suit. There's a freneticness to it. It's sort of hard to figure out what's going on, and visually they sort of hint to the 3 claws that he has. You have the metal here on his gloves here, but again, I just want to keep pointing out, you know, you have these strong visual lines, but then you have this excellent, again, the use of the yellow here adds visual cohesion, and it makes the design interesting to look at because it breaks it up. If we didn't have that, I'll just go ahead and paint over this, and you'll see what I mean. If we painted over that, look how much more boring that is. Look how less interesting it is if we just sort of paint over that. So whoever designed these suits, they absolutely know what they're doing. They know what looks good. They know how to make things stand out. You have the use of the black trim here. It's so subtle. That black trim there just helps the suit stand out and look good. They didn't go over the top here, but they used the lines here. They didn't use different materials or colors, but they used, you know, they broke the suit up there, and they have the breakup of the material that makes it look interesting without going over the top. Oh, look at this trim here. And then again, instead of going straight into the boots, you have this nice yellow here that's used. This is how they're using a primary color also as an accent. Wolverine doesn't really have accent colors except for this because of his claws. They're an important feature. And so you have basically your colors are yellow and this dark navy blue, and they use those as accent colors. You have black actually as an accent color, but the way that they're able to use yellow as an accent color, oh, yeah. This is my first time taking a very close look at these suits. These are just really, oh man, these are great. And then of course the cowl. This, I've seen them talking about how difficult it was and how many trials they had. It must have been such a challenge. It feels impossible to make a mask like this work, and it's just brilliant. They didn't overdo it on the lines, but they made it feel like it was something that exists, that has been made, because you can see the seam lines in there. Fantastic. It fits him just right. Excellent. Excellent. Next on the list is Captain America. Actually, of all the suits, this is the suit that I like the most, and it's the suit that I have the most respect for. This is the Captain America suit from the first Captain America film, Captain America, the First Avenger. What I love about this suit is it feels like it exists. It feels like it could exist, and that it doesn't stand out. We organically express the sense of the stripes with these belts here, and I saw them and thought, that is brilliant. That is genius. I kind of love these pouches. I'm going to say it here. I'm a fan of pouches. We never see Captain America use them, but I would love if he just like opened up and like threw a Captain America star. That's something stupid. I just started thinking about that just now, and I thought, oh man, that would have been so funny. I would love to see him bust out a Captain America, a Justice star out of one of these pouches and just throw it. I love this. The shape of this holster belt here, really fantastic. There is a paratrooper. Oh my. Paratrooper. I said paratrooper. There's a drawing inspiration from real world paratroopers. You still have asymmetry here. This sort of section with the belts here and how it serves as the trim and border to this padded shoulder area, the armor. Oh man, you have the helmet here, you have the leather underneath it. Everything about this is the perfect suit. This is the perfect character design. You have the leather here that adds dynamic to the character, so it breaks up the material there. You have the it's kind of like this gambeson look, right? Like that is padded armor. So it looks utilitarian, it looks practical, it looks like something that would have been made and something that exists, not even necessarily for a superhero, but something that just exists. These gloves are cool as heck. Can I just say that? Look, it has a feeling of riding cuffs or roping cuffs that cowboys would wear. It has a little bit of that a feeling to it. You have this inner area and that buckle that cinches the two sections of the gloves together with that loose area, so that takes into account loosening or tightening the gloves. This is so cool. This is the coolest design. This is so fantastic. This is... and then we also have the suit where we can see the Smithsonian version of the suit. And if we have a look at this, so this is what Captain America wears in Civil War, and this is sort of a recreation of that suit. And then you can see what I love is the attention to detail, is that there's a number of things wrong with it, and that this is not the original suit. This is the original suit, and this is the recreation. Right away you can tell that the number of stripes are wrong. This area doesn't line up quite right, and it looks less like a military suit. It looks less practical and less utilitarian, and it looks a little bit more theatrical. And then you have a much more modern look to the shoulders. You have the more modern trim here, the use of the trim there. The pants look more modern. Everything about this looks like it is a modern recreation of something trying to look old. And that's brilliant because it has features that were not on the original suit. Those features are something that exists if it were to be a recreation. And I really respect the attention to detail here, is that it looks a little bit worse than the original suit, and I'm certain they did it on purpose. That's the attention to detail that I absolutely love here. This is a masterclass in character design. Let's go ahead, and now our number one on the list. I have a feeling you probably already know what's going to be on the list for number one spot. The absolute best character design in the MCU is Iron Man, specifically this is Mark II, isn't it? This is Iron Man for the first Iron Man movie. The reason why this works so well is because this is a practical suit that exists in the real world. There's something about the CGI suits. I really enjoy the VFX in Marvel. I really enjoy, the nano suit. It looks cool. But I know that this doesn't exist. It's made up, and you lose that connection to believability, because there is an inherent suspension of disbelief when someone sees the nano suit. They already know, like, okay, this doesn't exist. It's cool. It's a nano suit. Whereas this, it exists. And so when you look at it, it's basically impossible to think, oh, they've just, done that with fake graphics. No, this suit exists. It's real. And of course, they had a real suit and then they enhanced it with CGI or whatever. But say, for example, you have this sort of matte look to the metal here. Oh, this shape. These are such... It's a streamlined shape, and it draws inspiration from luxury vehicles, which ties into the character. It lets us know what this character thinks about, what they care about. All of these shapes are inspired. They draw inspiration, and they evoke that sense of luxury vehicles, which is so Tony Stark. I love the matte here, and then you have the polished metal here, so it breaks up visual monotony by giving us something interesting. They could have very easily not had these. They didn't need to have that, and I'll show you. I'll just very quickly, if I can just paint over that very quickly here, I'll just go like this, and I'll show you how much more boring it could have looked if you just paint over that. And then we'll sort of go like that. See how that's way less interesting to look at? So the people that designed this really knew what they were doing. It's so brilliant. The attention to detail, like having the actuators just visible, and you can see the actuators moving. This sort of, it gives us logic. There's internal logic here. They established internal logic. The people that created this knew how the suit operates, and they were giving us clues and hints as to how the suit operates. These vents here, they add visual dynamic and detail. They break up the suit. These little lines here, they break up the plainness and the monotony of metal to make this something so interesting to look at. You have this, which is it's a visual hint to the facial hair of Tony Stark. So it's so subtle, and you wouldn't necessarily even you wouldn't consciously notice it, most likely, but it is such it's an indicator of a masterclass of understanding visual design, in that this character, they're saying he basically is Tony Stark. This Iron Man cannot be separated from Tony Stark. Look at that visual connection to their facial hair. It's brilliant. The shape of the eyes shows stoicism, strength. Oh man, this is so cool. What, you guys know what I'm talking about, like when the visor pops up and Tony Stark is in there. And it's so brilliant. Watching the suit get damaged, we believe that. We see that because it's real. We can see it. It's something that actually exists. It's something that's tangible. There's a tangibility to it. And that's what makes this suit really work. I still really enjoy the early Iron Man movies. So great. This is so fantastic. This is what allows us to care for a character. Again, we'll just have a look here. They didn't overdo it. They could have easily overdone it by adding too much gold in this area, but they didn't. They made the suit look practical. They made it look like it actually works because they actually built the suit. You know, having the gold just here, everything about this, brilliant. We often see the little parts moving around. Fantastic. Number one spot, so that is it. Thanks for joining me. That was my top 5 best and worst character designs in the MCU. Were there any in the list that you agreed with or disagreed with? And were there any characters that you think should have made the list? You can let me know in the comments section below. I always enjoy chatting and hanging out with all of you. Thanks very much for joining me today. And in all honesty, it's kind of a shock that it took this long to cover this topic. I'm such a huge MCU fan that sort of talking about character designs, I mean, it was basically inevitable. My games. People won't be able to buy my games.